The artist's brain is an independent variable. When brought into the everyday world, their senses find meaning in even the most mundane observations. The reaction must only be told by the artists themselves. I'm Loverboy, and this is an experiment. Today's guest has an incredible way of connecting nature to his music. Hailing from Montana and making his way out to Los Angeles, he has found a sound that represents his connection to the world. Spending many of his days hiking through the mountains, he creatively seems like he gets his inspiration from the world. Please welcome today's guest, Alt Bloom. Welcome.
Thank you.
I did some research.
That was a great intro. That was great. I might need to steal that for my bio.
So I'm super excited to have you on today for many reasons, but a huge reason being you are a great representation of how important it is to stay connected to the world. And your music and your videos are an incredible representation of nature and of the way that you seem to live your life. You are from Montana. You now live in LA. And your inspiration from Montana is incredibly vivid. What are some of the inspirations that you've gotten from that place, and how did you learn to connect them to your music?
I think one of the biggest things of that's I've always felt living in cities. I lived in Boston for a couple of years and lived in LA for a certain number of years, 7 years. And people have always asked when you say you're from Montana, saying, what do you do out there? What is there to do? There's nothing to do there. And I always retort back with literally everything and more to do out there, just for cheaper. That's like the main thing. There's definitely less music coming through and less like grandiose things coming through. But I think the biggest things that I pull from nature is that nothing in this realm that we live in of Los Angeles and cities is really all that real. It's something that's like a total human made up concept, and the pressures that we put on ourselves, the sort of competitions we pit ourselves in against other people are all things that are like irrelevant when you're out in the woods, especially if you do some hikes outside of LA and you're looking back down, you're like, oh, it really is just a giant anthill of people making up. And I think it's been something that when I'm in my weakest moments, makes me feel the most strong and most connected, and then grounds me back to myself is when I go outside.
As somebody who also spends a vast majority of my time outside, anytime that I can, I know how important it is when you are in positions of being in a city or being somewhere like LA to surround yourself with people that allow you to continue the joy that you also get from outside. Was it tough, or was it pretty easy for you to find a community out here of people that allowed you to keep your connection?
We were talking about this a second earlier. The good and bad of LA's the good is that there's a huge crowd here that all wants to be successful in their craft and wants to be the top at what they do, which really is great because you're going into a high caliber situation most of the times of people who can make you better at your craft, and you're growing together. But one of the things that I forgot for a great many of years was that this is still life. I'm still existing, and I still need to make time to go out and enjoy, especially having a body while you're young, the ability to do it. I don't want to be, my parents are beasts when it comes to the outside, but I would love to have the next 30, 40, 50 years enjoying the outdoors while I'm pursuing my career. And I think in LA, you can get very much so one-minded of going, I'm only doing this. This is all that I'm doing. And anything outside of this is a waste of time. That when you look back and realize on some things that you've, at least that I felt like I missed out on being in the woods because it means so much to me, having the chance to now take my weekends to be out in the woods or take time off and really make it something that's as much as a priority, make living as much as a priority as this dream of pursuing the arts.
And have you always had such a strong connection music-wise with nature? I mean, when I listen to your songs, I can place myself in the mountains in Montana. It makes so much sense. Was that something that you've always had, or was that something you had to grow into?
It was something I had to grow into being comfortable with. Because when you come out to, another thing when you come out here is that since you're so, I definitely was in the pop world, and having the pop hit was exactly the thing that I had bred myself into thinking that I wanted. When I was able to take some step backs after leaving projects, after, of course, this last year of everyone being able to take a step back and kind of reassess what's going on, you really get the chance to go, okay, who am I, and what makes me different than the people that are around me? What makes there was a quote that I heard sometime that said, if every bird sang the same song, we would only hear one song. And as human beings, we each have this unique way of looking at things. And I feel like from my experience, the reason why I loved, especially the last EP I put out, is because I was like, I've been living in cities doing the pop thing for a long time. I've gone to schools and learned about theory, jazz, opera, all that stuff. And I also come from a place that was in the woods where we listened to lots of times just like rock music, Americana, and even country. And I was like, me taking all those experiences and making something unique out of it that represents my life and my path that I've been on is going to me feel so much more valuable to leave behind than it would be to look at what the artists are doing and go, I need to do what they're doing in order to be successful, and I need to like put myself in this box. It was like the opposite of like, my box needs to be really specially my box with my things in it, rather than what I think needs to be, what I think I need to implement in order to be successful.
We were talking earlier, and you have a strong passion for sustainability. Mm-hmm. And it seems like that goes outside of just sustaining the earth. You're super into sustaining your own creativity in yourself. Mm-hmm. You put yourself in positions to feel the most comfortable. Therefore, your art is expressed as the most comfortable it can be. Mm-hmm. Are there certain people you surrounded yourself with in Los Angeles when you first moved here to keep the sustainability up to par?
I would say when I first came to Los Angeles, I really didn't care who I surrounded myself with. My only thought was say yes till I can't. Say yes till I have the opportunity to not. So really anything that came across my doorstep, again, because it was something that I was taught, was say yes to, and figured out whether that was doing productions for commercials, or whether that was doing an EDM top line, or whether that was playing instruments for someone and backing them up, whether that was writing pop songs, whether that was writing singer-songwriter songs. Really anything that came across the door, I would just say yes to. And again, it was the same reflection of stepping back and looking and saying, yeah, what do I want to represent me at the end of the day? That then started guiding over the last years of really wanting to surround myself with people who echoed the same thoughts that I did. And in that whole process, I've learned there is no right or wrong. There is no better. There is no worse. Obviously, in certain situations, I'm saying as far as like personalities you're surrounding yourself with, it really is just a choice. You mentioned that earlier, that life is just a choice. And there was no wrong with the people I was surrounding myself with. They were just they just liked different things and had different hobbies and had different paths they wanted to go down. And when I had my own awakening of understanding what I truly wanted, that was when I started making choices of going, okay, I'm going to surround myself with this person who enjoys these things, because those are the things that I want to gravitate myself towards.
Trial and error seems to be a really important thing in your life.
Oh, that's life. Life is all trial and error.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love when people can have the knowledge of getting from point A to point B a little bit easier, but sometimes with too much knowledge comes the lack of messing up and the lack of making mistakes. And it seems like mistakes they're just rungs on the same ladder that you're climbing.
Yeah.
And you had to go through certain situations in order to have this awakening to find yourself. So maybe you were just making the mistakes that were necessary to become Alt Bloom.
Absolutely. And I think that even when I go in and go into a session today, the number one thing I'm thinking about is not don't make a mistake. I'm thinking throw everything you have at the window, and generally the happy mistakes are the things that you benefit from the most. Because if you go into a situation going, I can't make a mistake, especially in the creative realm, I'm sure it's different for a professional athlete, but in the creative realm, it's really the mistakes that always turn into the most beautiful things. And I think having that fear of not making a mistake is what makes you the most comfortable in pursuing creating.
What did it take for you to finally step away from the life that you originally found in LA to start Alt Bloom and start this to be not only your career, but the most you that you've ever been?
Yeah. It took me having a gut feeling that became so overwhelming that I couldn't ignore it anymore. And I think that I very much remember the day I was in Denmark, woke up, had a dream about my choir teacher from when I was in high school, who was the most inspiring dude, and he's a choir teacher, right? So when in my LA sphere that I was in, looking at a choir teacher, you go, oh, he's just someone that, didn't just gave up on his dreams and just became a teacher. But this man was the opposite of that. He put his everything into inspiring kids, and he inspired me in music as I was a kid. And I said, am I living a life that I believe in so much that I believe in so much. Am I inspiring people that are coming by and looking at what I'm doing, or am I just chasing success? And that was when the big light turned on, and it was like 2 hours of might as well have been on mushrooms or anything else, walking around in a state of confusion, tears going down my face, going, why do I have this overwhelming feeling? And the next day I started changing everything.
Sounds like you're a big proponent of surrounding yourself with teachers. And the best way to become a teacher is to follow in the footsteps of people that you agree with, people that you trust. This person taught you how to become a teacher yourself. And now through your music, you can help thousands, if not millions of other kids do what this person helped you do.
Yeah. And it's always passed on. I think it's an important thing to note too, because my girlfriend actually mentioned this to me, and I thought it was such an interesting idea that really anyone can be a teacher to you, because in the moments where someone's even going against you or they have opposite things to you, instead of being frustrated, you can really go, this is a teaching moment. I'm learning something from this. And I feel like with that mindset, which I've slowly been able to adapt, because usually you just get angry and are like, I don't want to listen to you. But when someone has that opposing opinion to you, you get an opportunity to be taught from something that you wouldn't have normally expected. So I think as much as it's important to find people to surround yourself with that have the same mentality to you, it's very important to have a pool of people that also have the opposite, so you can constantly be pushing against yourself and straining and growing. And twofold, you could either impart wisdom on them or they can impart wisdom on you.
And part of surrounding yourself with people that are going to allow you to grow is, if you decide to be in a relationship, is being in a relationship with somebody that allows you to grow as well. And just from meeting you two for the first time, your relationship, from my perspective, surely seems like you guys push each other to be the most incredible version of yourself. And the way you guys talk about each other is so proud. What situations did you find yourself in before you were in a position where you allowed yourself to be surrounded by people who truly cared?
I think, again, it's the gut feeling, the thing that for most of my life I was told was wrong and I should ignore. If I was like, I really feel this way about something, or I really don't think I should do this, like as far as career moves or anything, and I just had that feeling, people are like, no, this is going to be good for you, trust me, this is going to be the best thing. And they're not wrong. They have their gut feeling and their own compass that they're going by, right? But you really have to go by your own in order to make the life that you want, and at the end of it feel fulfilled. Because if you follow everyone else's compass, again, not right or wrong, it's just the way they feel about the situation, it'll end you up in the exact path that I was 2 years ago. But I think the ability to start tuning into my own gut is still a challenge that I'm working on every day. But it's something that the more I realize that I tune into that and I go, okay, buddy, I'm gonna follow you on this. I'm not gonna follow what I'm hearing around me. Always the situation ends up better. And even if the situation ends up in a worse spot, I learned more from it by following my gut and going, okay, next time we'll do this.
You're not looking for the end. You're not looking for the pinnacle. You're really diving into the process.
I feel like I'm practicing not looking for the pinnacle. It's a practice, because I've definitely totally been guilty of and still am days of going, oh, when I get X, I'll be happy. When I arrive here, I'll be happy. And then I started having the thought process of going, well, if the goal is I'm going to be happy when I get there, then why can't I why can't I try to learn how to be happy now if that's the end goal?
What would you tell somebody who's maybe 10 years before you, or this is something that they're just thinking about for the first time?
I would say the most important thing is study who you love, and also follow your own gut and follow your own intention. Because especially if you're going to come out to LA, there are so many people who have very strong opinions of what is right and what is wrong and what is correct and what is not. But it's all made up. None of it's real. The instant someone does something outside of that box and blows up, the instant everyone will go, oh no, you should be doing this. This is what you should be doing. So the most important thing is to be developing your craft, developing what you love, and doing it out of the sake of getting better, and doing it out of the sake of challenging yourself, versus the challenge of going, I'm going to be more successful than this person. I'm going to do that. Say, I'm going to develop my thing, and be fulfilled with what I am developing.
You really have to love what you're doing enough that, like you were saying, you can be the student. If you truly love what you're doing, you're always going to be learning. There's always something more to learn. There's always something more to grasp. Have you always been a student, or would you say there was a point in your career where you realized, I still have more to learn?
Habitually. I've never thought I was really a master on anything besides maybe skiing, which there's still people who are way better than I am. But I think that's a very important thing to know as someone. I was having a conversation with someone who was saying that they were a master on a subject, and that was at the end of it was like, well, don't you think the best masters are someone who knows there's always something further to learn on this? And the question, when you're always when you're talking about being a master of something and saying, okay, if you're a master of it right now, 1,000 years from now, will this field have grown where you are as a master is childish compared to where it would be? And the answer is, in most things, is yes.
And from this perspective, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I see myself growing this project. I literally have recently become a bigger believer in writing down what you want to achieve and writing down your goals. And with me, it's not. I've taken the pressure off of the time of which things are going to happen, and more of focusing on where I want them to go. So I have like a list in my phone that's 5,000 cap venues that I want to be selling out, and then 10,000 cap venues. And the end goal, and especially in 5 years, is to be doing outdoor amphitheaters across everywhere in the world. Is the big goal, and to be the summer soul child, the summer anthem band where you want to come out and listen to it and have a good time and have a release from everything.
You have such an incredible view on not only the industry, but the world as a whole. And getting to sit down with the two of you and just hear the sort of life that you guys are trying to build for yourselves is not only inspiring, but it makes me really want to get up and start moving even harder. You guys are incredible people. I'm so excited to be at these 500,000 person amphitheaters watching you kill it, yeah. Which I know you'll be at real soon.
Yeah.
It is such a pleasure to have you on the podcast, man. And I think a lot of people will be able to learn from you. So thank you so much for coming on here.
Absolutely, dude. Thank you for having me, and thank you for doing this for everyone. I'm excited to listen to the rest of the shows.
I'm super excited for you all to hear it, and for everybody listening.
I'm All Bloom, and this is an experiment.
The experience is the experiment.